The Knowing How We're Doing module is all about giving practices a baseline assessment as to where they are now. A lot of that will involve some measures, and I know practices may not be used to doing measures, but we have a toolkit to help them to do that and to show them how important measurement is.
So I think it's really about taking the pulse, and once you've done that, just as you would for a patient, it allows you then to move on and make a diagnosis and think about an action plan.
The aim of the Knowing How You're Doing module is really for every practice to get a snapshot of where they currently stand.
It's about having the right data and being able to look at it and understand what that data means, and sometimes pointing you at the need for more or different data.
There's 7 key questions that I think every practice needs to ask themselves, and this module just helps you to gather the evidence on every single one of those. It's nothing that will come as a surprise to practices. It tells you how to gather information from what your patients are saying about you, how your staff feel, about your referral rates, prescribing, all sorts of issues around good practice. In each of these 7 areas, what we found was that we could allocate each of these areas to one lead. So it was their responsibility just to go and gather the data and come back with their findings. So obviously lots of people were gathering sort of data that they already knew about. They felt confident about what the reasons behind why they were gathering it, and they were just involved in the whole process.
The data was collected in 2 separate areas. One was split into the doctors and nurses. They had a separate sheet. And the other one was the receptionists were collecting data from the patients phoning up for appointments and also the face-to-face contact.
The surprise is that if you go looking for information, it is there, although every day we don't generally see it. For example, part of my tasks was to look at the practice profile, and it surprised me how easy that was to find in the data that's already collected within the practice.
A lot of the data practices will already be collecting anyway, but it actually gives you a bit of an insight into other data that practices would possibly find useful that you've never actually thought or had the tools in which to be able to do. Our average age of our patients is 38. I mean, no one's ever actually worked that out before. I don't know why, but obviously knowing that, you can actually look at the services that maybe practice of that demographic would need.
The data backs up anecdotal evidence, I suppose, is the main thing. Anecdotally, we know there are DNAs. We always thought there wasn't a great problem. There probably still isn't a great problem, but it has a greater impact when you actually transform that DNA figure into a financial figure and say, right, over a year, patients not turning up for appointments is costing us X thousand pounds.
The beginning thought that it's something extra to do, but actually it wasn't an annoyance, and it became quite interesting because at the end of the day we could see exactly what we had done.
It's not daunting at all. The module provides you with analysis tools, so you have spreadsheets in which you can load all the figures. It will automatically upload that into visual graphs, and it's really user-friendly. You need minimal IT skills. We held a meeting for all the staff to display all the data that we gathered, and we dotted it on various boards around the practice, and staff all found it really useful, really interesting, and really buzzing about all the information that it gave you. So it was well received.
Some of the findings were quite surprising, whereas others were expected, and it really helped us to come together and look at these findings and actually check out which are the ones we would actually like to work on.
The Knowing How We're Doing data will now be used in the next module, which is Improving Today's Practice, and that's really an opportunity for the practice as a whole just to decide with the information it gives us where the practice wants to go from here.